Good evening, everyone. I'm here with Kavya today and just super excited to bring you this conversation. Kavya needs no introduction, but I'll still go ahead and introduce her. She's an award-winning anchor, a global speaker, and the co-founder of a very unique brand called Kalanika, which is into Indian handlooms. Welcome, Kavya. Um, and thank you for generously sharing your story for my book, The 10th Story. Um, it's been an absolute pleasure with you working on your story, and it's been a long journey because we've been in touch for like over 5 years now. Um, and I think when I go down the memory lane, I remember the first time uh, I saw you. It was at an event, and I distinctly remember Kavya reaching from one end to the city to another. I was absolutely wiped out. And then I literally woke up from slumber when you started hosting the show. Like your energy levels were so high that they kind of woke me up. And I was like, okay, who is this? And as I saw you, it was almost like three words just kind of flashed, at me. So, three words that your aura encapsulated, and, they were courage, resilience, and struggle. And ever since I saw you that day, I really felt I should ask you, like, what's your journey been? But I couldn't catch up with you that day, but as luck would have it, we met in the virtual world, and the rest is, of course, history now. Um, what are your first memories of us catching up, meeting, starting on this journey of this book?
So honestly, first up, Manisha, thank you so much for having my story on board, in terms of sharing across these stories to the entire world. And thank you for, sort of doing this and continuing this conversation. Now, when you actually were sharing your narrative in terms of your first memory, it was taking me back in terms of the event backdrop, what I wore that day. And then it actually took me to the moment when I was actually searching on Instagram, putting the hashtag about the event, saying, okay, are there any updates? And I stumble upon the photo that you posted. And I categorically remember that you actually posted a photo of mine when I'm with the mic and I'm doing this, a gesture like this. And then I was like, wow, that's so kind of this woman to actually put such nice words and put up this photo, and I like it. And then you followed up, and then you said, hey, by the way, you were amazing and all. And I was so happy that somebody had such nice things to say. And then my first memory goes back to the hotel Royal Orchid in Bangalore, because I'd come down to Bangalore for a show and you said, listen, we got to meet. And I said, wow, I just love the way this woman is vibing. I just love the way she's taking initiative. And I love the fact that she has something to share. So I think I was kind of stoked, I'll be honest, Manisha. I was kind of stoked that there's so much. Sometimes a lot of people don't take that initiative. They're not proactive enough to share. And I really like the way that you were very appreciative. So I remember Royal Orchid. I even remember that table where we sat and we were having that conversation. And then when you told me about this whole idea and all, and I was absolutely, sort of awestruck with the kind of ideas that are in your head. So I have such vivid and such really lovely memories of our very first meeting.
Oh, thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing that. That was just so refreshing. And I just got transported to that table where we were exploring your story.
Yeah.
For me, exploring your story was really, it was very exciting. First, because what I had thought, right, about what the essence of the story is, when it followed the same, you know, nearly the same plot, not exactly the same plot lines, but had the same essence. And I was like, wow, I'm so glad I followed my intuition and I approached you without thinking, what if she says no, what will she think, so on and so forth. And I was just so inspired by your journey and how you've created the life that you live today, your career, how you've created it without really any background per se in the space
Yeah.
in which you
Yeah.
excel. How was your experience of exploring your own story, that conversation, going back, looking at your journey from different vantage points?
I'll tell you one thing for sure, that when you approached me and said that, what, and the words that you used as well, courage, resilience, and struggle, I probably never thought about them myself. For me, it was just life that was taking me. For me, it was just, okay, moments are happening and I got to do my thing. But when you put it in words, it allowed me to reflect and say, yeah, that's so true. Actually, what you're saying is right. It is what the story was. And when you actually approached, and it allowed me to sit and reflect. And that's the very first time, Manisha, that I realized that I was using my voice, or I was speaking, not because I was confident. I was speaking to mask my underconfidence. I never knew that about me before. But it's only when I sat down and when you asked me those questions, and it took me some time to understand that, oh, wait a minute, Kavya, this is what was happening. You were a shy and an underconfident kid, though you were hell of a talent you had, but you were still underconfident. So what did you do to master underconfidence? You spoke. You showed up on the stage and you spoke. And that revelation happened to me thanks to your questions. That revelation happened to me thanks to you reaching out to me, because many times what happens is, we as individuals, we let life take us through its opportunities. We excel, we do well, all that is great, but when was the last time we introspected and understood ourselves? Or for that matter, when did we question, and why did I do that? How did this happen? So I must say thank you to that, because that's where I realized that, okay, my confidence was under construction and I used my voice to mask that underconfidence and show up. So when the entire process also happened, it allowed me to reflect on my own story. And I think somewhere the seed of putting storytelling in my own narrative started thanks to you approaching me. So you play a really big part in the way I like to bring up my stories sometimes. So yeah.
Thank you so much. And, I'd like to really take a moment and express something that I've always appreciated about the way you shared your journey. I really respect the way you've shared it with so much vulnerability, because this journey of, you know, bridging the gap between, being in that space where one is, figuring oneself out,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, to being this person where today there are so many women and maybe men too who are inspired by your confidence, by the career path. I see your videos on Instagram about, answering questions about, being a presenter, being an award winning anchor. That journey, you were very vulnerable and honest in sharing how you got there. And I have like deep regard for that. So thank you so much for doing that.
Naini, thank you. Because I think one thing that you brought about the word vulnerability. What happens is, with a lot of people, they assume that vulnerability is about me showing my weakness. What we forget is that vulnerability is about showing your strength while accepting your flaws.
Yeah.
And like I said, we started having this conversation about 4 or 5 years ago, almost 2018, I guess, 2018, 2018-ish.
Yes.
I realized that even for me to come across my vulnerable side, I was holding it up because I was like, no, listen, I'm a strong woman and I need to show my strength. But what's wrong in showing your strength with your flaws? Because that is vulnerability. That is authenticity. So you said that beautifully, actually. Yeah.
Absolutely. In fact, I think you summarized it beautifully, because that's exactly what I was about to say. That, of course, your story is about courage, and we'll let the readers read that. But to me, this was also very big sign of courage for someone to share that, because um, and let me ask you that, why do you think people should share their stories? Because you shared it and it made a huge difference
Yeah.
to me, but I know that it's going to make a huge difference to many others who read it. But why do
Right.
you think it's important to share these stories with vulnerability?
So I think that there's something that's been on my mind for a very long time. I often see that, we idolize people that we see on television, we see on big screen, we see people that the media raves about, and we don't know them personally, but we know about their achievements, right? And we aspire to be like them. However, thanks to social media, thanks to these conversations, driven by people like you, it so happens that I realize, wait a minute, there is a story sitting right here next to me in the form of a neighbor. There is a story right here sitting next to me, probably in the form of a vendors, anybody for that matter. So inspiration is just around the corner. Why are we waiting only for the people on the big screen to inspire us? We don't even know them. We're waiting for a stranger to inspire us when a neighbor can inspire us even better. Because I'll tell you what happens. We watch someone do well, it lasts only for a minute. But when we watch someone do well every day, That is what inspires us forever. So this need to bring out these stories with vulnerability has become so essential, is only because it's not about boasting that, okay, so and so did this. For example, in my case, okay, she did so many 100 shows, she represented so many 100 brands, she's made so much money, she's done so well. That is just one side of it. But when we find out, when we actually deep dive and find out that this is what went in the making of this, in the making of this particular person, I think that is what allows us to know that, you know what, you and I are the same. We're going through the same struggles, we're going through the same moments, we're going through the same stories. So what is stopping me from leveling up? And that's why when you approached me with this idea of sharing the story, I said, you know what, your idea of having these 10 amazing women, including me, thank you, but 10 amazing women, maybe a lot of people don't know them. Yes, a lot of people don't know them. But I think these stories can be as genuine because we at the end are, for example, the Aam Aadmi. The Aam Aadmi can only get inspired by the Aam Aadmi themselves. So it is important, bring the real stories, bring the raw stories, nothing that's fabricated with makeup, nothing that's fabricated by media articles, something that is authentic, something that's right out there. I think that makes it more easy for people to approach, people to believe that, wait a minute, we're all on the same boat and we're all doing the same thing. We're all trying to level up, do the best for ourselves. So that was the intention. I thought that I love this aspect of what you brought about. So yeah, I was super gung-ho about sharing. Thanks to this idea. Yeah.
Oh, thanks for sharing. And I was just kind of listening to you, and each, each bit of what you said resonated with me so deeply. Inspiration is all around us.
Right.
And it's only by sharing that we get to see it. Um, and that part of us awakens, that gets tuned to really seeing it everyone and supporting, supporting those around us.
Absolutely, absolutely. Supporting. Many times, I think you said that rightly. You know, the word about support. I realize what happens is we see someone doing well, and we're like, why am I not able to do? But at that time, I think what I also learned over the last 4 5 years is I'm going to applaud for them, because when it's my time to be applauded, they will be there for me. It's and I think I'll tell you. I'll give you an example. I was hosting the show with Mr. Kabir Bedi, the legendary Mr. Kabir Bedi, and we were hosting the show, an awards evening back in Delhi, and we're announcing the awards. You know what happens right at the start? The energy is really high. Everybody's applauding because hey, everyone's gung ho. But after that, the energy starts dying down. When the energy started dying down, this is one thing that Mr. Kabir Bedi very nicely plugged in and said, ladies and gentlemen, of course, in his own baritone, in his own husky, amazing voice, he said, ladies and gentlemen, applause is charismatic. When you applaud for the person coming over here, when it's your turn, he or she will applaud for you. And that line remained with me, Manisha. It literally remained with me because I realized when someone's doing amazingly well, I want to applaud for them. I want to say, girl, amazing. You inspire me. I want to do that and I want to be that. Not, why am I not able to do that? Why am I not able to be there? Why am I not? No, I know I'm going to do that. I know I'm going to be there. But first, let me applaud for you, because when it's my turn, you will show up to applaud for me. And I think that comes with the attitude of supporting each other, by cheering for each other, by being there for each other. Like when you cheer me saying, bring my story out, I want to cheer you so that your story is out there. And not because I pat your back, you pat my back. I know because it's worth it. It is what the world needs it. So
Oh,
yeah.
thank you. And thank you for sharing that beautiful instance, your experience of what Mr. Bedi said. I can literally imagine him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. That was such a wonderful message. Anything else that you'd like to say for the readers who'll be reading your book in maybe a week or two from now?
Oh, I must say, first up, I'm really excited that your book is finally out. I think what I do want to tell our readers is that one thing I definitely want to share is that I want you all to read this book, not because it's written by Manisha, but it's because it's taken her 5 years to distill down the stories that really matter. See, you could have probably said, I want to write a book because hey, it's going to be nice on my LinkedIn profile. And I'm going to quickly write something and give it out to people. I'm going to get published and say, hey, I'm a best-selling author. You didn't do that. You took your own time. You distilled down the stories. And then you brought down the stories that truly connected with you, that stayed with you, that you felt can make an impact to the people. So I want people to take that time to invest in these stories because you've taken time to bring out these stories. That's number one. And I think another interesting message to all the readers is that, again, because inspiration is all around you, try reading these stories because they will surprise you the most. You already know certain people, you already know your icons, you already know about them. But what about those that you don't know about? They might actually surprise you the most and might probably make you want to take a pen and write a book, or maybe take a bat and play cricket, or probably take a mic and host a show. So that's a message, yeah.
Oh, thank you. That's such a wonderful message, Kavya. And yeah, thank you. It took me a very long time because actually I wrote um, so there are a set of stories in the book, but I've written more than that.
Yeah.
What took me time was to stitch them together and see, which one creates a set. And I really sometimes what makes me feel a little bad is I couldn't include all because I had written so many. So and people were so generous in sharing me, but I wish I could have included all. But then there was this theme, right, of vulnerability that was so important to stitch these together. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Kavya. As usual, you never cease to surprise me. And this conversation was really like so. I thought it would be exciting, but in addition to being exciting, it was just so insightful, so touching, and so heartwarming. Um, Brought back so many memories. Thank you so much for taking out time for me.
Thank you. All I can say is that sometimes you just need to have the right questions to get the right answers. So I should thank
Oh,
you for doing that. And thank you, most importantly, for including me to be a part of your journey in terms of storytelling. And I can't, sort of wait for the readers to be excited and impacted, most importantly. I think what your book is going to do is impact a lot of lives. And I'm really excited for all these stories to come out. And I know that there is also a surprise, by the way, readers, there is a surprise that is waiting for all of you in the book. So I'm not going to reveal that because let the book reach you all. I was actually intrigued when Manisha told me that this is a surprise. So I am, and I'll tell you what, I think it's first of its kind. So readers, wait for that surprise coming to you when you buy that book, or when you purchase the book, or when you get your hands on book. I'm really, really intrigued myself. So hold on to that.
thank you. Thank you, Kavya.
Thank you again, Manisha. Thank you for having me.
Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. Bye.